Welcome back into the podcast. Today we have Parker Doyle, who's built one of the best brands in baseball on social media. Parker, how's it going?
It's going great, my man. How are you?
Great. So I wanted to set the stage a little bit. When did you start your first Instagram page, and how fast did it grow over that time?
Yeah, for sure. So I believe I started around 2013, 2014, around that time. And initially, it was not a just straight up baseball page, it was more of a Yankee specific page. So I started it up because I was a diehard Yankee fan. I was trying to see all the strategies to how to grow a page like that, which I would utilize the formats that I've seen and stuff like that, and try to make my own templates for pregame formats, postgame formats. And I kind of fell in love with that. And then I got my first deal where I was posting a promotion, and that like kind of like fueled my love for it. I was like, oh my gosh, I can actually do this for a living. I can make money off that. It was like probably like $50 to me back then. That was like, oh my gosh,
Oh
that's
yeah,
crazy. You know,
huge. I mean, when you're that young,
I'm
same
making
here.
money on social media, like posting the stuff that I love. So I was like, I definitely got to scale this. So I grew that up to around like 10, 15K followers. That was called New York Yankees 101 on Instagram. Ended up selling that because I was like, I really want to scale this further. And it's going to be really hard to do that if it's just specifically a Yankees account. So I wanted to expand, make it a just baseball in general account. And yeah, that's when I created Bat Flip Bombs, which is now Doyle Media. I began that in 2017, 2018, probably the end of 2017. And going into my freshman year of high school, that's when I really started like just posting on it every single day. And I became very familiar with the Instagram algorithm. And I would use my competitors, the guys that were like way above me in my niche or even in other sports, and seeing what they're doing. I would look at their analytics, how fast they're growing, compare. And I really just I studied that, and I figured out like what were the best strategies in that time to use to create the most viral content possible. So that
Love it.
was really how I skyrocketed my growth. And I just continued that format as I got on it. All you have to do is just really I would see the most results in growth when I would analyze the posts that I've done in the last like 30 days, and then analyze my competitors' posts who are seeing crazy growth. And then when I can use their templates and stuff like that, use the same thing, just translate it to my niche and my kind of style, then that's when I saw the best growth, man. And that was really how I fueled to get over 700,000 followers right now.
100%. And then I think the thing that folks like yourself don't give yourself enough credit for is the consistency. Like
Yeah.
you just mentioned it. You started in 2013. And you've been in the game for over 10 years. Same here. Like I would attribute any success to all those things as well. But I think the truth is that the consistency is probably the most underrated factor for growing these pages because you really don't take days off. You don't really take half days off when you're doing this kind of thing. And that's really, I mean, on top of everything else, there's no reason why uh, you know, I would be surprised that you're successful after hearing that you've been in it, doing it for so long. And that's another reason why I wanted
Yeah,
to have
I
you on the
guess I
pod.
just don't see it as work because I love doing it and I love growing it.
Exactly.
You have to do it every single day, and you have to like just study the ins and outs of your successes and the posts that didn't do good and double down on the ones that did good. And it's not just about the content too; it's about the other things too that factor in. But I will say for a lot of my competitors, the reason that I really surpassed them and I started like growing way faster than them and saw way better results is because, like you said, I stayed consistent to it. And the one thing that it's specifically for baseball or sports theme pages, what I did differently is I doubled down on content during the off season when content is super undersaturated, and that's when I saw my biggest like growth compared to I would still be growing in the regular season very well, but in terms of separating myself from all the other accounts, that was where I saw that big separation because I didn't slow down in the off season, you know?
Makes perfect sense. Yeah, I talk about this with our team all the time. Like the content that does the best is usually the stuff that, the biggest pages aren't posting, like the oddball sports. It's things like rock skipping, and it's things like the bowling guy who has the amazing line, or like, those types of characters. Those end up doing the best because there aren't theme pages for it. You're not competing with anybody. But you're right, the off season, that's a great call. Um, and yeah, like if you've been in it for 10 years, which I have too, so many things have changed. Uh, obviously Reels is only 5 years old. That was a total game changer. Uh, you know, I I remember when Instagram started allowing videos, and they weren't even pushed to anybody. It was just one day it was like, oh, you can upload 60-second videos, and they go directly to your followers, and that was a game changer. Um, what do you think right now, today, end of 2024, going into 2025, is the best way for any account in any niche to grow?
So I always say I live by this, and I think this has been a massive thing to look at on any post you do if you want to grow. I think it's shareable content. Posts that get shares. If you produce content on the daily that is pumping out thousands of shares, like what that does to the Instagram algorithm is just absolutely it turns it into a snowball effect, especially if their story reshares too, because then you
Totally.
get put out to all of those guys' audiences, and then it just doubles down. Let's say like at minimum, like 2 to 3 reshare. Then it just keeps going. Like from that reshare, people just, so that is why I focus on all of my posts being as shareable as possible. And that's what creates the most followers because it's literally reaching out to non-followers.
Yeah. I mean, a
You know?
thousand, a thousand reshares, each getting 1,000 views is another million views for you.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And then especially if you factor in all of those shares that are going to your story too, the biggest trends that I grew, and I grew like tens of thousands, I'm not exaggerating, tens of thousands from a single post, are the ones that were trends of people posting those kind of carousels on their story. So I don't know if you remember that Mr. Men trend or that little miss trend, whatever it
Sure. Yep,
was.
I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
I took advantage of that, man. I did like 5 or 6 carousels of that, and I was literally seeing like tens of thousands of follows on every single one
That's amazing.
because that trend literally got people to post on their story, and then it's just absolutely exponential from there.
Yeah, it's so funny. We acquired I don't know if I've told this story, but we acquired a Michael Jackson fan page about, I want to say, a year ago. Had like
Mhm.
150,000 followers. And our job was now to take this Michael Jackson fan page, which had insane engagement on any Michael Jackson content and terrible engagement on anything else. How do we convert that into something that's all music? So the first thing we did was we started posting Michael and other artists together. And then
Yeah.
eventually we just started posting just the other artists. And then we had one video, I think it was Bruno Mars, who was doing a Michael Jackson impersonation, brought in 200,000 followers, one video. It got like, I don't know, 120 million views, something like that. And then it brought in a couple 100,000 followers. And then the next one did the same thing. And the next one did the same thing. And it went from 150K to a million
Mhm.
in 2 months. And now content that isn't Michael Jackson performs well. Um, it's all you really need is like a couple to do really well, and it can totally like change the paradigm of an
That's why that
account or of a
first like
page.
10,000 followers, any of the guys that I mentor when I'm helping them build theme pages for monetization or whatever they're trying to do, I focus and I tell them how important it is. It's going to be a grind, but how important that first 10,000 followers is. Because that's the foundation that when you start producing and you keep continuing that insanely good content, that's going to be where all those guys will see it on a consistent basis and they will share it to those friends, and that's when it snowballs.
Yeah,
But you
yeah,
can't really have that growth on a consistent basis if you have less than that and there's not enough guys to even tell the Instagram algorithm that this is a very good post to keep pushing out because they don't see the shares out the gate,
Totally.
So that foundation's very key.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to go from 0 to 10,000 than 10,000 to 100,000.
I agree. I tell all my guys that that's 100% the truth. I
Yeah.
feel like that's the same with money too. just everything.
Well, anything that compounds, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's
Uh,
compound interest, man.
starting that curve is, always going to be difficult. But like, I think I want to keep sort of double clicking on this point of you have to pick something that you're going to be passionate about because the curve is so long at the beginning.
Hmm.
Um, Otherwise, there's just
There's no
I
way.
mean, you've
Yeah,
seen so many like over the last 10 years, how many people have you seen come and go
yeah.
on
They
like
go
accounts?
for like 30 days. They go for a couple months. They kill it or whatever. They hit this little Instagram drought, and then boom, they're done, never to be seen again. Then they start another account. They want to do the same thing. Then boom, done. You have to literally just commit, and you got to go all in on it, man. And you have to love it, or else there's no way you're gonna be able to survive the droughts and survive the
Yeah, and ideally, you would do it just for passion if you were never planning on making any money from
exact.
this. Because
That's how I started. It was
same,
literally just for passion.
100%.
But no
Same.
shot I would have been able to continue to do it if my sole goal was money. You know what I mean? Like it would
Totally.
have been hard. Now looking back at it from now, I would have definitely still continued that route because it's obviously gave me the opportunity to make passive income and go do all the things that I want to do. But looking back at it, like if that was my first goal, I would have quit immediately, because I wasn't looking like so long term.
Do you really think it's passive income?
So I guess passive income, when I say that, I mean, it's more for like the fact that I don't have to do work I don't like, I guess, because I don't see
Okay.
it as work. Now,
I
I do,
passionate income, not passive.
I guess, yeah, I guess you could say
Of
that because I do have a very good ROI on my time now that I've built up
course.
this, where
Yeah.
I've built systems and everything where I can produce viral content within like a couple minutes max. You know what I mean?
Totally, but I don't want to mislead anybody. Like you
No,
are
that's true.
you
Yeah,
are great at what you do. You do it every day. It is
it's
hard.
because yeah, when I
Yeah,
say passive, it's because I've built all of these systems in place to make it pretty like 99% passive for me because of all of the
well, yeah, you,
found
you built it up to this point. It's one
exactly because
click.
I
It's
built
one
it.
click now.
You can't get this to where I'm at unless you've gone through all the trial and error and the knowledge that I have. So
Totally,
yeah, it's definitely not passive out the gate. I mean, it is. You have to build up to that point to where you are, it's still really not passive if you want to continue to grow. But like if I basically like wanted to tap out, like I can still make a continuous income.
totally.
That's yeah.
That's a good point for sure. Yeah, YouTube is the one where like that's the
Uh,
one social platform where you can have real passive earnings because you
I wish
build
I
up
got into that earlier for
you
sure.
you build up this catalog of, content and then it just continues to earn
Yeah, it's
basically
because of all the
forever.
it's all the watch time you get, man. I mean, attention is currency. So when you have all those guys watching like 30-minute videos, I mean, it doesn't take many of those to get those people ready to buy whatever you have to sell.
Dude, and this is why podcasts are so great because,
Exactly.
it's the only kind of content that's easy to make, enjoyable, and you can have 10 ads in the middle of an I mean,
Oh, yeah.
if you have an ad every 10 minutes in the hour, podcast is, 90 minutes long.
Yeah, it's definitely something I've always wanted to get into, and I think I'm going to be able to in the next year or so. So
100%. I definitely recommend it. Um, in terms of someone, sort of, do you think someone can pick their niche or do you think their niche picks them?
that's a good question. So I think personally, you want to start with a niche that you have a ton of knowledge on. So I didn't go into my niche like knowing nothing about baseball. I was already a baseball nerd. I knew the ins and outs of baseball. I knew like I was watching Quick Pitch every morning. I don't know if you know Quick Pitch.
I'm
I was
familiar,
I
yep.
was MLB Network. Like, dude, I was a MLB geek. So those I mean, basically that knowledge of all that stuff translated very well to what I did, and it skyrocketed my success. If I were to start in like golf or something like that, with something I'm not that familiar with, it would definitely be harder. I'm not saying I could do it because now I easily can now that I know the systems in place that it takes. But out the gate, especially when you factor in the passion that you were talking about, I mean, if you're not passionate about it out the gate, that first 10K is going to be a living hell, you know?
Yeah. And honestly, the next 10K too. Like it's all the whole thing is just gonna be hell.
It is, yeah. I mean, it takes a while for it to be like enjoyable, and you don't have to like spend a lot of time to get the results that you want. You know,
Yeah, really the only enjoyable part of it, if you're not passionate about like the niche, is the money.
exactly.
And at that point you might as well do something else.
Yeah, because it's not. Yeah, that's a good point, man. Because there's definitely other avenues if your sole goal is money. But I will say there's some other perks to it as well. So you also get the attention factor too when you build up a platform. Like now, as you know, like I've connected my personal brand to my page
Yep.
as well. So that's helping me in a lot of different areas other than just strictly
Yeah,
money.
this is what you've done. I've never really seen anyone else do when they rebrand their theme page or
Mhm.
theme brand to being part of their personal brand. What has sort of the impact you've seen so far?
Yeah, man, it's actually been very rewarding since I did it. I've never envisioned it be this rewarding. So the reason why I didn't do it up to this point was because I was playing college baseball and I didn't want that light shine on me as I was playing. And I even had I originally did start to implement it, but then I had immediate like I would post certain content that would be like very controversial, and I would literally have people email my AD, and it would we would have these school wide meetings over it, like literally like
Whoa.
school wide meetings over like getting hate emails through my through my followers or someone that didn't like my post or something like that. So I immediately took that out. I was like, all right, I gotta wait till I'm done with baseball. So yeah, I wrapped it up this year. So I was able to implement my personal brand into it. But yeah, I mean, really the things I saw were like it really just kind of goes into scaling my personal brand. I think personal brands are 100% the way to go, especially in the next 5 to 10 years. I think people that did not grow a personal brand are going to absolutely regret it so bad if in the next 5 to 10 years because of the what it's going to do for basically your entire life. Your network is the biggest one, I believe. Like just really seeing getting all of that attention on your face and getting recognized, you know. And I think if you can just get that attention to your personal brand, no matter what you do, you can basically just sell anything, you know? So it really comes down to like a lot of different factors, but I've seen a lot of benefits from growing my personal brand and doing that. And it's really the whole Doyle media thing. I definitely thought that was the best route to go for brand deals as well. And it definitely looks more professional and it's not just a theme page that looked like some 12-year-old kid started it, you know, which I did, but but yeah, I definitely think that's the way to scale. So that was my vision behind it.
This episode is powered by thehobbyletter.com. It's the newsletter that I started that shares everything we do on the marketing front, everything that we use to build Hoops Nation 0 to 10 million on social, everything that we've used to build dozens of brands to over 100,000 or a million in their own niches and grow the business. Everything on Instagram, everything on Facebook, everything on TikTok, everything on Twitter, so on and so forth, including our campaign business as well. It's everything that we learn from other people, everything we've learned ourselves from experience. I hope you check it out, thehobbyletter.com. Your first month is on me. So check it out. Link in the description below, and I'll see you there. Love it. Very cool. That's crazy that people were sending your
I
administrators
know,
email.
man. It was wild, man. I was just trying to play some college baseball and
I mean,
enjoy
how
life.
bad could the post have been?
No, yeah, yeah. People take posts like completely wrong. Yeah, so it was
Yeah,
bad.
I think building a personal brand, I mean, I guess it depends on who you are, but sometimes it's much more difficult than building, theme pages or brands. Sometimes it's much
It is.
easier. It just depends,
Depends really what your niche is. Depends what you're doing, and basically like if you have other factors that go into that funnel, like your YouTube, for example, or podcast, that obviously plays a massive role in it. So stuff like that too, for sure.
Yeah. Um, it's going to be interesting. Uh, so countries all around the world, like Australia, just instituted a under 16 ban of social media. Florida yesterday just did an under 14 ban of social media. They're trying to
Really?
prevent they're trying to prevent the next generation of us from
Yeah,
coming up. Uh, it's it's pretty interesting. It sort of feels like there might not be a next generation of like kids building theme pages, and it's a lot of it has become very professionalized. So like in the sports space in the last 10 years, I would say 80% of accounts have been acquired by bigger companies or
I know. Yep.
corporations.
I've seen
Uh,
that. And what's crazy is like those guys like me and you that built those theme pages, they're selling out for so low right now.
I
It's
know.
ridiculous. Like they don't understand like if they held on for a couple more years, like what that will even do to the amount of money that because they don't understand the value because the portrayed value of it right now overall is like so low compared to what the actual value of all that attention is.
Yeah,
So
they're
yeah,
getting judged on like the current revenue on like
exactly. Yeah. So I mean, those big
the
corporations are taking advantage of that, and that's why like I will probably never ever sell out because this is something that's just exponential. You know.
Yeah, because their POV is usually okay, this page makes $5,000 a month.
Yep.
So we'll pay a multiple of that over a 1 year period and pay out over time. And we already have the advertiser relationships to place one ad on that page that will make up the entire difference
Exactly.
because of existing
From
brand
the
partners.
business point of view, I mean, it's a perfect deal to take advantage of just the lack of knowledge of the theme page owners. I don't know if it's
Or
like
if they're not passionate about it, or like they're really just like done, or it's inactive. I mean, that's,
exactly. Those are the guys that, yeah, I mean, they sell out for so small. It's honestly sad to see, but I mean, I don't know.
yeah,
This,
it's crazy.
they spent years and years building that up, and then
I
they
think
just
that also happens uh, out of the pages that I have seen sold. It's usually because the owner, again, is not passionate about it. Like you're like I'm a diehard basketball fan. That's why I started Hoops Nation. It
yeah,
has given me so many great basketball experiences that I enjoy. Same for you.
your connection.
So many great baseball experiences that you enjoy and you would even if you weren't doing this. If someone has a basketball page or a baseball page and they don't even like the sport, of course they're going to be more inclined, to sell it. And that's another reason why you should start, like, if you're passionate about sneakers,
Yeah,
start something in sneakers. If you're
I
passionate
agree.
about music, start something in music. Like the experiences that these pages are going to give you is one of the most underrated things and a good reason to start it in something that you actually like want to do.
Yeah, no, I like that for sure. Because if I was still playing baseball, there's so many other opportunities too that I would be getting right now. Like I can't even express how many bat companies or equipment companies reach out to me, being like, "Hey, we'll give you all this free stuff if you just throw a story shout out or something like that," you know. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, there's still a lot of other benefits of that, especially within the baseball niche. That yeah, you're able to experience through that.
When you're in an interesting position too because you actually played.
Yeah,
So you have sort of that you know, backbone to like lean on or like create content off of. Which I
yeah,
think is pretty
I feel
cool.
like if I was not playing my entire career, and especially not college baseball or something like that, I wouldn't have the ability to be near as I guess controversial in a lot of posts, you know, because then I don't know, I would feel I don't know, I would not feel near as confident being able to put that content out there, you know.
Right, right. It's
A lot
like
of guys
yeah, it's
like
like that meme where like the fat guy on the couch is like calling out the NBA
yeah,
player
yeah,
because he
exactly.
can't make a free throw.
Yeah, no, 100%. And
Yeah,
some of those guys that run the big theme pages, yeah, I mean, they're kind of in that area, which I don't know. I mean, they take it to however they want, but But yeah,
You never want to be that guy though. So yeah,
no, for sure.
you've got a good thing to lean on there. That's pretty funny. Yeah,
that does help for sure.
I make sure we don't really call out NBA players or anything like that because I am for sure nothing near that. You know, I
No,
play.
yeah, I do it for the engagement. I know, like, I'm not really like just destroying them. I mean, I know they're in a place where like they are in the top of the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. They are elite, So I do
Totally.
it for the yeah, just for the fun of it.
That's funny, man.
Yeah,
So what, again, like what if someone's already, let's say someone already has their theme page, they know what they're doing, they're in an area that they're passionate about. What are sort of some little things that you would recommend? Obviously, starting to build their personal brand. What are
yeah.
some
So that's
other
actually one I've not been able to like all my guys that I mentor, they're just focused on growing their theme page and then growing the monetization off of that page. I haven't really worked with people who want to do what I do yet. So that I think that's going to be coming in the next couple months. I've had some people like it spark their interest. Like, I love what you're doing with your page and stuff. I would love to know how to do that. But like in terms of like wanting mentorship from me. I've not had that yet, but I do think that's coming because once they find out how cracked my system is, that I've really leveraged my personal brand off of this page, they're gonna want to understand the ins and outs of what I really did. So
so describe what is the system?
yeah, so I really just so all you have to do is start your personal brand and whatever niche you're wanting to help people on, you do that, right? The reason why it works really well for me is because I've seen the results and I've got the results from the theme page growth, right? So I've just translated that and being that because that's obviously social proof, that's experience, that's set in stone. I've obviously done the work, I've got the results. I've translated that to a product, which is one-on-one mentorship in theme page growth. So that's why it translated very well for other people. There's a bunch of different avenues you can go, however you can help and whatever you think you can benefit people the most with. But that's how I really leveraged it. And I'm now I found strategies where I'm not having to promote that on Doyle Media now, like as much and just spam it because obviously I don't want to do that to all my 99% who doesn't give a crap about theme page growth. You know what I
Sure,
mean?
sure.
So now I'm implementing all of these methods and systems to really focus on just the theme page owners who are trying to expand their monetization and expand their growth.
And what are those monetization tips for these different theme
Yeah.
page
So
owners?
a lot of them is outreach strategies. So DM outreach strategies and really focusing on who the target I guess client would be. For me, for example, the number one guys I get over and over and over again are sports betting consultants.
Sure.
So those are the ones that spend the big bucks on promos for me, at least in the last like 4 or 5 years. Those are the ones I continue. They're always reaching out to me and I'm always getting that. So I don't want to just keep relying on the outreach from them. So what I'll do is I'll start connecting with them. So I'll initiate conversation. I'll go out and do that. So that's definitely one of my biggest strategies for sure. I mean, another monetization strategy itself is just the growth of the page because if you grow the engagement and you get all those numbers, that's what these guys that are wanting to get promos are attracted to is the eyeballs you're getting on the page
Yep.
in
Your
that.
rates go up. Yeah.
So yeah, my rates go up as my engagement goes up. So like that first 4 to 5 years that I started, I wasn't trying to make, and I didn't make much money at all. I
Mhm.
was just focusing on long-term growth because I knew the opportunities that would come in the long run. It's like delayed gratification. So
Completely is.
yeah, it really is. It really like that right there taught me delayed gratification for in the gym and just stuff like that. I think that's the most important skill you need to learn because if you're able to do that, you're going to be very successful because that's the same that goes with investing or just whatever you're doing. You have
Literally
to
anything.
literally anything is delayed
Yeah.
gratification is like one of the most important things you need to do. You need
Dude,
to learn.
that's such a good point and lesson. And it's true. I've never really thought about theme pages as that. Because similar to you, like I didn't start it with a goal in mind. I just started it because it was awesome and it was so much fun and like you love to be in the space, like working at it every day. And because, for young people like us, there weren't other opportunities. You weren't just gonna get brought on to the, late night, World Series broadcast crew at age 22 just because you love the sport, but
Exactly.
you can build it yourself. It's like Field of Dreams a little bit, but with theme pages.
Yeah, and there's way more benefits to it, in my opinion, especially if you're passionate about it, than just the money that comes from it. Because even if you gave me the opportunity to make twice as much money, but I would have to like work honestly probably 4 to 5 times that rate right now, then I've already built up this page and
Mm.
what I'm able to do on a daily basis now. Plus, it's something that I don't really like doing. Like there's a lot of factors. Like I love what I do. You know what I mean? I don't have to spend a lot of time on it every single day to keep scaling it and
Yep.
to keep getting opportunities because I've built in systems in place to make content very efficiently and all of that stuff. And yeah, so there's a lot of other factors that go into the benefits of it outside of just the money itself.
Hmm.
The
And then
network definitely a big one too.
100%. The other thing about the deferred uh, and delayed gratification is that it makes it very difficult for people to compete with you. um, because most people are not willing to do it for 5 years without making
Exactly.
very much. And then on top of that, when a lot of the people aren't doing it in areas that they're passionate about, they end up selling early or selling too soon, or just, it falls off because they're, focused on other things. The value of large, let's just call it theme pages, but sports theme pages specifically, I think the values of these pages have gone up 3x in the last, 2 years. Like
Yeah,
I
I think
really,
X in the next 2 3 years. I really believe that. Like because people are going to start understanding the value. It's not because their value is going to increase. It's going to be the portrayed value of it. It will increase. It's
I,
going to be start being understood on a
I
global
think
scale.
that's right. And all it's going to take is one real sale, I think, one real public sale.
Fat public sale, like just how NIL started with like Livy Dunn getting like this $3 million deal with the company. That's going to happen with a theme page,
So
and
I,
that's
s-
spark.
so I don't know if you remember, there was a big one a few like 6 years ago when Daquan sold and a few other pages. They sold for 80 million.
I
That
heard about that.
was
Yeah, I've
that was
seen that.
big, but it was like a giant group. It was like 30, 40 pages.
Okay.
I had Brandon Harris on the podcast a couple episodes ago. He sold Playmaker, and the Playmaker brand for about 50 million. He sold it to Action Network.
How many
Hit,
pages is Playmaker?
what's up?
How many pages is
So
Playmaker?
Playmakers a little bit more than pages because they have podcasts. Like
Yeah,
they
it's not.
have like the Shaq podcast and the Angel Reese podcast and like the New York Knicks, Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart podcast. They have
Yeah,
just
it's
like,
almost like a barstool a little bit.
yeah, I'd say it's definitely it's closer to a bar stool than just
The theme page.
like a theme page, but they started as theme pages. I think
Yeah,
that's the most important part. It was started as just theme pages and then they branched into podcasting. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that, where like you have a theme page start and then they branch off into a couple other businesses and then they grow those into, businesses that are tens of millions of dollars because it's such an amazing launch pad.
yeah, it
Um,
really is.
so that's what I think we're going to see a lot of. But just theme pages themselves, I know people privately who are looking for millions for their theme pages. And I think a couple of those hit publicly too, and then it's just going to be uh, you won't be able to buy anything anymore. The only things that will be available to buy, and I think, by the way, I only condone this for people who know what they're doing, but it can be very powerful to buy a page with, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 50,000
Yes.
followers to get a head start. Because like we said, those first 10,000 are definitely the hardest. And
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
if you
and
can jumpstart it with a decent page,
I would not recommend that until you've gone through the trial and error of figuring out how to grow that. Because if you don't know that foundation of how to just jumpstart and get organic followers from a basic standpoint without needing that foundation, that's where you're going to see a lot of growth because you understand the principles behind it.
Yeah, you're probably gonna get probably gonna kill. I mean, I've seen I've seen so many people buy pages and just kill them, just like absolutely destroy a
Like
page.
they have no idea how to run a page. The engagement's like completely plummets.
Yeah, or like the opposite. They don't understand things like brand value, so they'll buy a million follower page and then just start running like OnlyFans ads, and then just, like shoot the engagement in the foot, and it just engagement just starts tanking off a cliff. They were getting like 25,000 likes a post before the buyout. After the buyout, they're getting like yeah, they're getting like 1,000 likes. Dude, I've seen this play out so many times, and it's honestly just sad because
Yeah,
I know how much work like the original account owner put into it, and then you
exactly.
just have
And
some new company.
they probably sold out for like a fraction of the price it's actually worth.
Yeah, like tens of thousands. And then you have some new owner coming in who's just destroying a page, just running it into the ground. Dude, just as many ads as they possibly can. They're just it's almost like they're literally trying to take it out back and like kill it.
Yeah,
Dude,
it's
it's
crazy because
terrible.
if they just did like at least like a 4-to-1 ratio on content to promos, that would even be 10 times better, you know?
No, they're like every post is an ad.
It's crazy.
Dude, it's yeah, it really is. But then again, like those things happening raise the value of all the other pages. And there aren't that many new accounts that are just like popping up. Like you don't
Yes.
see like 0 to 1 million growth
It's
on it.
definitely it's not oversaturated. The market is very what I value with what I have done up to this point and where I see where it is very rare with what I do, not even mentioning the personal brand being put into that. If you just take that aside, you don't even think about that. There's not many guys that have built what I've built and don't have like a full company of ownership. They don't have like an entire branch behind them that they're paying like massive percentages to, you know. I've built this like all on my own, you know. I mean, I now like I'll do like freelancing graphic design, but other than that, like I do everything, you know. So that means I get full ownership of everything. I get full control of all the promo deals I get, all of the brand deals. So that's what I really love about what I've done to this point is I haven't even delegated anything. You know, I've built the systems in place where I've literally not had to delegate much at all.
I mean, it's great because you enjoy it. I mean, that's
Exactly.
the only
Yeah.
reason that works.
Now, how I scale is definitely through delegation, though. From here, I think I've
Definitely.
maxed out. Like this is where you tap out on
Well,
doing
you're
it
the
on your
next
own.
thing, from having been in that position where I was doing absolutely everything and felt the
Yeah,
exact same way as you need to train someone to be just like you. That's
exactly.
that's what you
Which
need
it
to do.
sucks because I'm such a control freak and a perfectionist that I know it's going to be way better though if I train someone and even if they just do like 70% of what I want. I know that's going to allow me to go in different areas and grow because that's how you scale anything in business. That's how you scale anything.
Totally.
It's just oh my gosh, I take so much pride in the content
No,
I
I
put.
I get it, but like not and similarly, like not having any investors or anything like that, just it allows you to do things that other media companies can't or won't,
Yeah, they're
with
so
certain
restricted
ads
too.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm not restricted really. So that's the beautiful thing about that.
Yeah.
It's called.
Yeah, definitely. If someone's listening to this though and they think, it's too late, what's your opinion on that in terms of building, their brand, their
So,
personal brand, their theme page?
so I never think it's too late to start, especially a theme page, personal brand, whatever you're doing. Whatever you get into, I would start at least making sure you have enough capital. I would start a side hustle or something like that. Whether you're just doing a 9 to 5, build up enough where you have like enough money to pay for mentorship for someone like me or you that has gone through the process and knows the basically they've gone through that maze where they've hit all the trial and error. They know the ins and outs of the algorithms. They know what not to do so that you can literally just have this fast tracked of your success without having to go through that brutal long period of trial and error.
Yep.
Is that
100.
what you would recommend? I mean, I think
I
mentorship's
mean,
the best
dude,
way.
I remember when I started on Instagram in like 26, I started taking it seriously in 2017, and people told me it was too late. Everybody.
Yeah,
Everybody told me it was too late. I asked all the big accounts. They were like, it's too late. I wouldn't do it. Focus on Facebook. That's what they told me because I started
that's
on
true.
Facebook. They were like, focus your time and energy on Facebook and Snapchat, which I was doing. I joined TikTok in 2019. People told me it was too late. People told me it was too late on TikTok pre-COVID.
That's
And then we
ridiculous.
were growing 1 million followers per month during the beginning of COVID. Uh, Pretty much everything I've ever done, people told me it was too late to do it. So anyone that ever tells you it's too late for anything
Heck
is
no.
flat out lying.
Yep.
It's either they want to protect what they have. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy or that it'll happen any faster for you than
Yeah.
it does for anybody else, but it's always worth it if you're passionate
Yeah.
about it and you'll actually stick to
Yeah.
it because everything we've talked about this whole podcast, if all of that is true and you're capable of deferred gratification, I love talking about theme pages like that, then this is 100% for you. And for anybody though, for anybody, personal brand is the move. If you're in like pool supplies, if you're in like sports memorabilia, it doesn't matter what you're in. You have to build your personal brand because that's going to
Personal
serve
brand's
you and
huge.
it's going to serve you. This is one line that you'll probably like. Your personal brand is the only brand you'll never sell.
I love that. I
That's
love that.
simple. And that
That's
and
awesome.
that's exactly why it's valuable. So
Yeah. No,
gotta
yeah. I mean,
gotta
it
build
is
it.
ridiculous. Like you'll see all of the top guys, no matter what niche they're in. Like just think of the Andrew Tates or the Alex Hormozis or the Iman Gadzis. They're all telling you they're different avenues of growth on what they're doing and their mindset. But what do they all have in common? They're building their personal brand.
Yeah,
You know,
pretty much anybody.
exactly.
You could
And that
say you could say that's what Elon Musk has done over the
it
last 5 years.
literally has. Yeah, exactly. Because you're going to be able to monetize and have way more connections, and your network is your net worth. So building your personal brand, not only does that get massive attention on you, it's going to allow you to get so many more opportunities as well. So
100%.
because they people see that content and whatever you're teaching, whatever you're doing, and they correlate it with your face. And when that happens, you are that guy when they need this problem solved, you know?
Yeah, you
So that's
become
why
top of mind.
you become right in their head immediately. So that's why attention is so key. And when you put it with a face, it is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. And then I'll go one step further. When you're in a very specific niche or avenue, that's how you get real market share because there are so many people who have personal brands that are like just all over the place and like in
Bro.
like 10 different things.
That's what I have a problem with. I've not really focused on locking in on a certain pain point until the last couple weeks or month. So that's what I'm looking to do is when people my vision is when people think of how to grow a theme page or whatever like that, I want to be one of those top guys that they're like, all right,
Love
he's
it.
he's that guy, that I need to go to if I want to grow a theme page.
Yep. 100%. You're doing it, man. Love it. Sweet. Well, I will link all of your info below and yeah, thanks so much for doing this, man. This is great.
Yes, sir. This is fun, man. This is awesome.
All right, everybody. See you next time. Peace.